When you wake up, generally what the research shows is that your brain is primed to be able to focus for the first 4 hours of the day. The first 4 hours of the day tend to be, for most of us, the time of day when your brain has the most fuel and when your speed of processing is awesome and when you are able to direct your attention at what you need to be focused on. There's a caveat to this. You can manufacture boosts of productivity and boosts of feeling like you've got a little bit more brain power. Number one, immediately after you exercise. If you have a burst of cardio, 30 minutes is what a lot of the research says. But if you have a burst of cardio, you will get a little bit of increase in fuel. Another thing that helps is getting outside. When you start to feel your energy and your focus start to go to empty, getting outside is another way to give yourself a boost of brain power. But generally speaking, everybody, you need to start to marry mornings with peak productivity. If you can own your mornings, if you can put that thing that matters to you first thing in the morning and make a little bit of progress on it, you are going to start to feel like you are more in control. You're going to start to see yourself using your best brain power and your highest level of fuel at the thing that matters most to you.
Need motivation?
You better watch a Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Mel Robbins, and my take on her top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, dream with the lid off.
Give yourself permission to dream with the lid off. This is really important. And the reason why this is important is because I guarantee you that right now you are not even allowing yourself to fully dream or think about or set goals that are truly aligned with what you deeply want in your heart. That you aren't even able to manifest properly because you're not even honest with yourself about what you actually want. This is a really common thing because you're allowing your self-doubt, you are allowing your fears, your anxiety, your insecurity, you're allowing where you are to dictate and limit where you want to go. And so step one, super important. You must allow yourself, give yourself permission to start dreaming with the lid off. Now, the scientific reason why this is so important is because you have a filter in your brain called the reticular activity system. I write about the RAS for short, the reticular activity system, extensively in the High Five Habit. The RAS is a filter in your mind, and you can do simple things that change the structure of that filter. In fact, the filter in your mind, the RAS, is always changing. So one thing that you can do in order to teach yourself how to dream with the lid off is to adopt a simple habit. Every single morning, I do a very simple thing. I write down 5 things that I want. That's it. When I start my day, after I get up when the alarm rings, I make my bed, I pull on my exercise clothes, I set an intention, I high-five myself in the mirror, I then go out into the kitchen, I crack open my high-five journal, and then inside the journal there are prompts that walk me through the steps of visualizing. And the first prompt is dream with the lid off. Set your spirit free. Write down 5 things every morning that you want. And this is important because when you get what you want out of your head and you physically put them on a piece of paper, research shows that you're 42% more likely to achieve those goals simply by writing them down. That's pretty cool. Secondly, your mind is paying attention. And when you take deliberate action and you write down what you want, you are signaling to your brain that you deserve to have these things. You are signaling to your brain that you do want those things. You're not just going to think about them. These are things that matter to you. And that helps train your mind to allow you to let the desires flow through you. Because right now, you're not manifesting properly because you're not even allowing yourself to dream with the lid off. So that's step number 1. You're going to start writing down 5 things that you want every single morning as a way to train your mind to let you dream freely.
Rule number 3, visualize.
The reason why visualization and picturing yourself succeeding and allowing yourself to feel the happiness and the pride that comes with picturing a positive future, the reason why that's as important is, let's say Shelley does that every single day this week. Every day she wakes up, she walks for 5 minutes, and as she's walking on that treadmill, she's visualizing herself finishing a 10K in 6 months and how proud she is. Every time she does that, she is changing what's going on up here. This isn't something I made up. This is true. And it's not only true based on science, but let's think about this from a common sense perspective. If Shelley wakes up, or if you wake up every single morning, and instead of thinking about the worst case, instead of looking at your body in the mirror and going, I'm so fat, I'm so out of shape, I'll never run a 10K, this is never going to happen. Why didn't I exercise last year? I hate my flabby stomach. I hate my big thighs. I hate how out of shape. I'm embarrassed to go. If that's what you're thinking, then that is what you're allowing your brain to continue to filter the world through. If you start teaching yourself the skill of visualizing a positive outcome and feeling the pride that comes with achieving that positive goal, what happens for you right now is you start to think like the kind of person that does a 10K. If after an entire week, what Shelley does is she looks in the mirror and she goes, I'm getting stronger every day. I'm really proud of myself. Even though I'm feeling flabby, I'm not saying you're flabby, Shelley, but even though I'm feeling flabby, I'm doing the work. I can do this. What happens a week from now is when she sees a registration for a 10K, the old mind that wasn't programmed correctly would go, oh, you're fat, you're out of shape, you're not prepared for that, don't sign up. But the new mind, because she's been visualizing every single day, the new mind just 7 to 10 days later is going to go, oh, wait a minute, I'm in shape, I'm proud, I'm doing this. Why don't you sign up? It's going to filter the world in a very different way because you're training it to. This is the heart of doing a mindset reset. And this is why visualization works and why it's an important step and why I'm so glad you're doing it.
Rule number 4, identify important things.
When I hear the word productivity, I don't want you to think about plowing through a to-do list, because part of the reason why you don't feel productive is because you're busy doing the things that aren't important to you. Yeah, do you need to make sure you have milk or you got almond milk or oat milk in the fridge? Of course you do. But have you ever noticed that all the busy crap in life tends to take care of itself? That you don't really need to focus your time and energy on the minutia that's on your to-do list, because that stuff tends to grab your attention. What you really need to do is figure out how to create time and how to create the focus that you need in order to feel like you are making progress on the important things. And that's really what productivity means to me. You get all kinds of stuff done. You're really busy in your life, aren't you? But are you getting progress made on the important things? Probably not, because that's the challenge for most of us. And so first things first, when it comes to trying to have a breakthrough in productivity, you need a game plan. You need to have a very short list every week of what actually matters to you. Okay? Because I guarantee you, if you were to do an audit of the way that you spend your time this week, you would probably see that 95% of your time is spent on things that you really don't care about. And even more scary, I bet you don't even realize how much time you are wasting just mindlessly scrolling through social media or sitting on the couch with the TV on, also answering emails. That is the least productive way to spend your time. Multitasking, spending your time just sort of zoning out on things that don't matter. What I want you to do is I want you right now to think about, what is it between now and the end of this week, for example? What is it that matters to you? What's the most important thing that you would love to make progress on, that you never seem to find the time, okay? It's a whole nother conversation for us to talk about whether or not you actually have time, because the fact is you do have time. You have plenty of time to make small amount of progress every single day on what matters to you. What you do not have right now is you do not have a plan for prioritizing the important stuff in your life.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5, set boundaries.
If you struggle with boundaries, I want you to know you're not alone, and this is super common. And one of the reasons why I'm excited to share everything that I've learned about boundaries with you is because I used to be the kind of person that had 0 boundaries. I mean, nada, nothing, zilch, nothing. In fact, there were periods of my life where it was worse than 0 because I was so attached in romantic relationships that I literally would become like a human amoeba in my romantic relationships. I mean, I was like, literally, if it's possible to have negative boundaries, meaning you like somehow go in a totally different direction, that was me. And so if somebody as insecure and as emotionally attached in relationships and as people-pleasing as me can figure out how to identify, communicate, and uphold boundaries in my life, you can learn how to do this too, okay? And so that's what we're gonna unpack in this video. So I think a big question, because a lot of people talk about boundaries, they know they need boundaries, but they don't have good boundaries. Why is that? Well, the reason why we don't have good boundaries is because none of us were trained how to set them. I mean, I want you to think about your childhood for a minute. Your childhood with your caregivers, your parents, your grandparents, whoever, it is naturally an imbalance, right? Like when you come into this world, you are born into a particular family. You're born into a particular culture, religion, economic situation, a place in the world, a race, like a religion. And based on where you were born and to whom you were born into in terms of the family structure, there were all kinds of rules that you had to follow. And if you did not follow those rules, there were consequences. And so can you imagine if you, as like an 8-year-old, started to try to express boundaries, literally, like mom cooks a pot roast dinner, and you cross your arms, you're like, mom, this is a boundary cross for me. I have decided that I am no longer eating meat. Your mom would probably go, guess what, youngster? You not eating dinner is a boundary crossing for me. You're not getting up from this table until you finish what's on your plate. And so saying boundaries when you're little doesn't really work for the adults in your life. And that's why you never learned how to do it. And by the way, your parents were probably never taught how to have boundaries either. And so I want to start at the very beginning, okay? Where do you even begin? Where do you even begin when it comes to learning how to set healthy boundaries, okay? So first things first, where you're going to begin is you're going to start to think about boundaries in a completely new way, okay? The number one mistake that we all make, I made it, you're making it right now, is when you think about boundaries, you are thinking about other people first, okay? You're thinking about boundaries and believing that your boundaries are rules in a relationship that define respect and that somehow your boundaries are going to control or change someone else's behavior. That is the exact opposite of how you should be thinking about boundaries, okay? And I'm going to give you a bunch of examples. Don't worry. I didn't realize this This is why I was lousy at setting boundaries, because I thought that my boundaries control what other people do. No, 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 no. So how do I want you to think about boundaries, okay? Boundaries are rules that you create about your own behavior. Yep, I'm going to say that again. Boundaries are rules that you create about your own behavior.
Rule number 6, reframe negative patterns.
Understand that you can find people to support you. You will always find people to criticize you. Watch, though, how when somebody outside of you criticizes you, how that triggers the internal pattern. So what is the pattern that you have of thinking that gets triggered that disempowers you?
That I won't have any words.
You won't have any words. Let's go deeper than that. Is it something about being loved or being unworthy or not being good enough? What is underneath, I won't have the words?
Yeah, they won't be the right words, and it won't be good enough. Yeah.
Okay. And so do you have an opinion that you're not good enough or not deserving of success? Or that you're not smart enough to make a difference?
Yeah.
What is the one? What is the thing that hooks you? That you say to yourself?
That I'm stupid.
Okay, there we go. That's a good one. Not a good one, but you know what I mean. That's a good one.
Or
because,
I'm a piece of shit. That's my big
Okay, I'm a piece of shit. Now we're talking.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Who told you that?
I don't know who told me that.
When did you start believing that?
As a little girl, yeah. God, I've just been saying it for so long, I don't know.
That's okay. She said, I've been saying it for so long, I don't know.
Yeah.
As you now know what you're looking for, you're going to start to connect the dots, okay? And so here's the thing. At some point, you started telling yourself, whatever, I'm a piece of as a strategy. You did it on purpose as a youngster, as a way to survive things that were happening. Because maybe when you said, well, I'm a piece of you actually got really quiet and you didn't get hit. Or maybe when you said that, you removed yourself from situations when you would have been abused or something. It worked because it protected you, as weird as it sounds.
Yeah.
Are you seeing something?
Yeah.
What are you seeing?
Well, yeah, my dad he wanted me to be quiet in the corner, being quiet, yeah. We couldn't make noise and
Okay.
cry.
And if you raised your voice, you got in trouble. So do you guys see the link now between why she has a concern about finding her words?
Oh, yeah, I didn't get that one.
You see that now?
Yeah.
So every time that you are in a situation where you need to speak up, how many of you are relating to this, by the way? I have a theory about all of us, that we have patterns and strategies that we created when we were little in order to survive situations. And what she internalized was don't speak up, and you're a piece of shit if you do. And believe me, that protected your ass. It worked, because you didn't speak up and you didn't get in trouble with your dad.
Right, and I still got the love. So if I speak up now, I'm going to lose my dad's love.
Do you see this?
Yeah.
So this is a pattern that got written when she was little. And it was written by someone else, and it worked. It worked. The problem is now that you're...
It's working now.
It's not working now.
It's not working now.
Not working now.
Can't
and
move
see,
forward.
exactly. And so this is what's fascinating about all this. There are places in your life where you have patterns that you don't even recognize, that were strategies that you developed when you were a kid. And so in the areas where you're really frustrated, that pattern is probably not present or conscious, something that you're aware of. And so every single time, because you've been repeating this and repeating it and repeating it, every single time you're about to hit play, every single time you're going to stand on a stage, what's going to be right there is don't speak up. Yeah. Yes, freeze. And you're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The only thing that actually overrides this pattern is to speak. And through speaking, you will see that you're not a piece of shit. You actually have something to say. Or you could make fun of it and say, well, I guess I'm just a piece of shit, something to say.
That's going to be my thing.
Yes.
I'm a piece of shit. I got something to say.
That's right. And I also like the strategy of kind of making the fun of the stuff. even the heavy stuff, because it loses its grip on me. It works for me. It may not work for you, but it's something to try.
Rule number 7, manifest what you want.
First of all, you got to give yourself permission to really have what you want, okay? Because you got to have the thing that you're visualizing be something that is authentically something that you want. Number 2, you must see yourself taking the steps, the tiny actions, and doing the work that will lead you to creating or having what you want. Third, you got to feel in your body what it feels like to do the work. And you also have to feel pride as you see yourself doing the work, because that amplifies your mind, body, and spirit really imprinting and training and preparing for it. And fourth, obviously, you got to take the actions. And all of that manifesting and preparing inspires you to take the actions. But one place where so many folks get stuck when they start trying to make manifesting a daily habit is you go and you know what you want, but then you sit down and you try to imagine what the steps are that you need to take to get there, and you don't have a clue. Your mind goes blank. If this is you, I'm so excited that you're watching this, because the simple trick based in science is called the power of objectivity. All you got to do is stop visualizing yourself and insert your friend Mel Robbins, or insert somebody else that you love and admire. And the power of objectivity is going to immediately switch you from a blocked mind to one that is bolder and more creative and able to visualize the steps. Now, I'm not just making this up. There's extraordinary research that was just written about in the Harvard Business School Review. They did 8 different studies at the University of Wisconsin where they were studying the power of objectivity. And with thousands of participants, here's what they found. When participants tried to visualize themselves doing hard things, immediately, the participants, when they thought about themselves doing something hard, like let's just say asking for a raise, okay? I want you to imagine yourself asking for a raise or applying for that dream job. When you visualize yourself doing it, you immediately focus in on minutia. You start imagining all kinds of things that could go wrong. You start arguing against yourself, and doubt comes flooding in. You have a very cautious mindset when you place yourself in those scenarios. However, if you were to visualize me, Mel Robbins, asking for that raise, immediately your mindset switches to being very bold, being creative, seeing all kinds of opportunities. And in fact, when you not only visualize me, your friend Mel Robbins, asking for that raise that you want, when you give me advice, you're super enthusiastic. You're like, Mel, you should go for it. And I bet in your life, you have probably told friends or loved ones, you should ask for more money. And you mean it because you're visualizing them. But you yourself won't visualize yourself doing that. You talk yourself out of it. We've all had this experience. You yourself are probably sitting there going, you're right, Mel. I constantly tell my friends, you deserve more. You should break up with that jerk. Do. You should go for it. But when it comes to yourself, you see the excuses and doubt. So I want you to leverage not only this common sense, but this research to your advantage when it comes to manifesting. Pick what you want, and then if your mind goes blank when it comes to seeing yourself do the work, literally just insert your friend Mel Robbins or insert anybody that you love.
Rule number 8, focus on progress.
Part of the reason why you don't feel productive is because you're trying to complete everything. And so let's take one of the things that I saw somebody write, that you want to clean up one of the spare rooms in your apartment or in your house, that maybe there's a spare bedroom and you have been wanting to turn it into a home office, or maybe one of the kids has moved out of the house and you want to declutter that room, like in a project around organizing. Maybe it's something in your garage or your basement. Or, hey, here's one for me. Our daughter moved out and started her life, post-college, and our other daughter is out in Los Angeles going to college, and we, no joke, have 3 garbage bags full of clothes that somebody needs to go through to figure out what needs to be donated, what could you actually sell because it still has tags on it. And it has been sitting there for 2 months. So maybe you have a pile of that kind of stuff in your house. This is not a priority for me. I'm perfectly fine with it sitting in the room where our laundry is. The priority for me this week is to carve out dedicated time to hang out with our 16-year-old son and do something fun together. Because we spend a lot of time together, but we don't get intentional about doing something specific. But if you want to declutter, for example, here's where we all go wrong. You identify what you want to do, and then you think you got to get it done. In order for me to go through 2 bags of clothing, for example, in order for you to clear out your garage, that could take you 2 days to do it the right way, right? Because, if you don't give yourself enough time, then you're going to piles. And so then you think I can't get it done. And so then you never schedule it, right? Okay. We're not going to worry about completion, everybody. We're going to worry about progress. So when you think about things in terms of progress, it can shrink the amount of time that you need. Maybe all that you're going to do is you're going to work on one dresser in the room, or you're going to work on one shelving unit in the garage. And by simply making the time to, number 1, identify what matters to you, and number 2, identify what meaningful progress could look like, you will now shrink the amount of time, you will define the project, and you can make the time for it. And simply just doing that is going to make you feel more productive based on the research. All right, now let me talk about what you need to do. Okay, I literally have notes for this. Oh, there we go. And I just lost it because I really want to make sure that I teach you all this stuff. So here, Becca, can you help me? Because this is not, because my thing is not, never mind. Guys, I am trying, multitasking is not how you be productive. And you are watching me multitask right now. We're going to get into some of the science now. So now that is how you leverage something called the progress principle. Okay, the progress principle is really important when it comes to productivity. This is a concept that I first learned about in the Harvard Business Review. So if it's in the Harvard Business Review, everybody, very fancy, must be accurate, right? If it's coming from Harvard. Well, the progress principle is a study that comes from a study where researchers looked at, I believe it was 14,000 work journals. And what they found after looking at the work journals of how people spent their time, 14,000 people, is that at the end of the week, the people that felt like they had been the most productive and the people who felt the most fulfilled by their work week were the people who simply made progress on something that mattered. And so by you identifying what matters to you this week, and by you identifying a way that you can make a small amount of progress on it, you are leveraging this research from Harvard Business Review about what creates productivity and meaning and fulfillment in your life. And that's making progress on something that matters.
Rule number 9, do the work.
You need to do the work, okay? You got to do the work. Because it's only through your actions that you will accomplish what you want. Let's say that you've always wanted to climb a particular mountain, okay? There's a mountain called Haystack. It's not even that tall, so I should probably pick a bigger one. But let's just call it Haystack Mountain. You've always wanted to climb Haystack Mountain. You pull up to Haystack Mountain, and you get out of the car, you park at the National Forest parking lot, and you make the mistake of looking up at the mountain, which is the end goal, right? And you notice it's up in the clouds. And then you start to think, oh my God, that's a really far way away. I don't really know how I feel about doing this anymore because that looks like it's going to take a really long time. And then all of a sudden it starts to rain. And you go, I don't think I want to do this because I don't think I feel like doing this. And next thing you know, you are back in the car, driving back down the road to that little diner that you saw. And instead of climbing the mountain that you've always dreamt of climbing, you've now come up with an excuse and you have abandoned ship. You now have literally become your own obstacle. You talked yourself out of it. You started to doubt yourself. You told yourself you weren't ready and that you didn't feel like it. You pull the ripcord, you're out of there. In order to have what you want in life, you must stop staring at the top of that mountain. You must stop creating excuses for why you can't or don't feel like it. And you must put your head down and look at the first step in front of you. And then you must take the action and start walking toward what you want. And it'll be a hell of a lot easier for you to do that if you have also been putting in the time every day consistently to not only see yourself walking up that trail step by step, but that you have felt yourself pushing through the resistance, the fear, the obstacles, the excuses that are stopping you now. And feel proud in every fiber of your being as you push through those obstacles and see yourself and feel yourself doing the work. That's how you manifest properly. And if you do that before you pull into the national park parking lot, if you look up at that mountain and you see clouds and it starts raining, it won't matter, because you've already rehearsed this moment in your mind, body, and spirit. And you, my friend, will start walking up that trail. And you're going to be proud.
And number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is be authentic.
So many of us have this perfectionism gene. And the reason why we're perfectionists is we're trying to insulate ourselves from criticism. That if you get it perfect, no one will give you feedback. If you get it right, nobody's going to criticize you. If you do it perfect, then no one will be able to attack you. And the problem with that, and that's just another side of the same coin, which is the fear of disappointing people. You're managing not disappointing people, not by lying and not by being codependent, but by actually trying to be a perfectionist so that nobody criticizes you. So let me tell you a story about the fear of disappointing people in my own life, because this is the biggest trigger in my life. I mean, it goes back to being in 4th grade, right? It's there. And this is another thing, I literally have to remind myself of this, everybody, every single day. You cannot remove the things that trigger you. You can't. If you've been doing a pattern since 4th grade, there will be things for the rest of your life that will trigger that pattern to come up. But you can always choose not to repeat the pattern. So you'll be triggered and be afraid that you're going to disappoint somebody. That's real, that's normal, it's natural, it's part of being a human being. I think it's interwoven into every relationship where you love somebody. But you don't have to behave the way that you always behaved when you're nervous about disappointing somebody. So let me give you a dumb story. You ready? When my husband and I got married, my father gave us this really incredible gift. He gave us an antique pool table. I grew up in Muskegon, Michigan, where Brunswick was founded. And my dad has a hobby of going to garage sales and estate sales and buying old, dilapidated pool tables, and then he restores them. So when Chris and I got married, he bought us an old, dilapidated pool table from the same era as our house, which is the 1870s. He restored the whole thing, and then recently he and I rented a U-Haul, and we drove this sucker from Muskegon, Michigan to Boston, Massachusetts. My dad and I took a road trip. Get there, and we assemble the pool table in what used to be our playroom. Fast forward 3 or 4 years, the speaking business takes off, my business starts to grow, we have people that work for us, and my kids are older. We don't need a playroom, we need an office. The pool table is in the middle of this thing. For the first 2 years of having the office, we kept the pool table there. Why? Because I didn't want my dad to be disappointed. Because I love him. Now, he visits our house twice a year for 2 or 3 days with my mom. And I kept this thing occupying a third of our office for 2 years. And then I realized I'm being ridiculous. I'm being absolutely ridiculous. Now, here's the thing. Will he be disappointed if I take the pool table down? Absolutely. Definitely. There are always going to be things that you do, decisions that you have to make in your life, in your business, for your family, that will disappoint other people. It's unavoidable. But the fact that he's going to be disappointed should never be the reason that I don't do something that is aligned with my values. Now, let's take it a step further. When you make a decision that is likely going to disappoint people, or that does, still make the decision, because it's your life. There's nothing worse than when you start to rob your future and your life and your happiness because you're so focused on other people. However, if you love people, you can still take care of them when you make that decision. So let me go back to the example of the pool table. So I knew I was going to take it down. I knew my father was going to be disappointed. I was disappointed. I don't have a big house. So I don't have the room for a huge pool table. I don't have a finished basement like a lot of people. I don't have like a cool garage game room thing like I just don't have it. I called him first and said, I need to talk to you about something. You know, the pool table, I love the pool table. Dad, my business is growing so much, I actually need an office. And, oh great, it'll be great in the office. And I'm like, well, Yeah, it would, except I have, 3 or 4 people showing up, and we got to put some desks in there for now. Even went down, well, you could put a piece of plywood, and they could work on the pool table, and then they could do the thing, and then the thing. And now my heart is racing because I don't want to disappoint my dad, and now he's fighting and I had to just say, for me, Dad, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to hire professional movers in the pool table business to disassemble this with love and care. We're going to store it beautifully. When I either get a full-time office offsite, or I build a barn, or I build a different house, this will have its own beautiful room dedicated to you. So we had this beautiful conversation. Now, was he disappointed? Absolutely. When they come to the house and visit, which they just did, and they walk into the office, do I feel a pang? You better believe I do. It doesn't matter. That's all normal. I still need to make the decisions that I need to make. And the difference, what's changed, is how I relate to that fear. So instead of what I would do in the past is I would make a decision that doesn't serve me. I'd leave the pool table, and then I'd be all about it. I'd leave the pool table as a way to make my dad happy, but it makes me miserable to leave it there because I need the space, right? And then I'd be kind of annoyed, and then he'd come and I'd fake play pool because I kind of want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, we do all this that's not real. And what I've been able to do for myself in some instances when I catch it is to hit it head on and to be authentic and to still take care of people. And what I've also come to learn is that people can be disappointed in you and they still love you. You're never going to get around this. Everybody in your family is going to be disappointed with you, probably once a day, probably. And you have the ability to retrain how you respond to that trigger that rises up in you where you start to fear that you're disappointing somebody. And the answer really is make the decision that's aligned with your values and the thing that supports you, and then take care of the person by being honest and straightforward about it, dealing with their disappointment head on, because that's really the adult thing to do, and that's what you do when you love somebody. The way we've all been handling it, myself included, is manipulation, lying, resentment, withholding, and that doesn't serve anybody. There is no fast track to transformation. You have to work on it in little ways every day. You can't buy self-esteem or self-love. You must build it. You must stand face to face with the part of you that you hate. You must forgive yourself for the hurt that you've caused, especially the hurt you've caused to yourself. And then you got to do the work to become a better you. It's the only way to create the self-respect and build the self-esteem that you want. You can change. There are do-overs in life because you get one every single morning when you wake up, look in the mirror, and decide who you're going to be today. You can choose. You can change. No, you can't go back in time, but you can have your own back as you use the time that you have now to take control and create a new chapter that makes you proud of who you are. The hardest part of all this is flipping your focus from what you hate and are trying to fix toward what you want to create. Remember, the windshield in a car is bigger than the rear view mirror for good reason. You're not supposed to go backwards. You're supposed to drive your life forward, and that means you must start looking ahead. Yeah, you've screwed up, me too. The worst things that you've done, witnessed, or survived, they are your most powerful teachers. So stop making yourself wrong about what happened and unpack it. Understand it. Face yourself in the mirror and learn the lessons that are woven into every mistake, every regret you ever have, and every painful thing you've ever experienced. Here's the profound insight I gained that I want you to hear. You aren't broken. You're just blocked. Forgive yourself for all the things you did while you were just trying to survive.
Your mind collects mental lint. That's right. That's all that doubt is. That's all that fear is. That's all that anxiety is. That's all that worry is. That's all that people-pleasing is. This is lint from life that is collected in your brain. And you know what? Lint stands for something. Get your pencils ready. You lose inspiration due to negative thoughts. That's all that's happening. You're not broken. You're just blocked. The filter in your mind is blocked, just like a dryer filter gets blocked by lint. And you can't think this stuff away. You got to take action. And the single most effective tool on the planet, hands down, to wipe away the lint in your mind, to wipe away the doubt, to wipe away the fear, to wipe away the anxiety, is the 5-second rule. I'm dead serious about this. When you feel the fear rise up, when you feel the self-doubt start to block, when you feel the anxiety start to take over, when you feel like you're losing the inspiration to move, you're just going to count backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I know it sounds dumb, but trust me on this one. Counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 wipes the lint off the filter in your brain. That lint that makes you lose your inspiration to act due to negative thoughts. And once you get to 1, it's clear. So your confidence and your courage can flow right through you.
This one is like really important. You need to do the work, okay? You got to do the work because it's only through your actions that you will accomplish what you want. Let's say that you've always wanted to climb a particular mountain, okay? There's a mountain called Haystack. It's not even that tall, so I should probably pick a bbigger one, but let's just call it Haystack Mountain. You've always wanted to climb Haystack Mountain. You pull up to Haystack Mountain and you get out of the car, you park at the, National Forest parking lot, and you make the mistake of looking up at the mountain, which is the end goal, right? And you notice it's up in the clouds. And then you start to think, oh my God, that's a really far way away. I don't really know how I feel about doing this anymore because that looks like it's going to take a really long time. And then all of a sudden it starts to rain. And you go, I don't think I want to do this because I don't think I feel like doing this. And next thing you know, you are back in the car, driving back down the road to that little diner that you saw. And instead of climbing the mountain that you've always dreamt of climbing, you've now come up with an excuse and you have abandoned ship. You now have literally become your own obstacle. You talked yourself out of it. You started to doubt yourself. You told yourself you weren't ready and that you didn't feel like it. You pull the ripcord, you're out of there. In order to have what you want in life, you must stop staring at the top of that mountain. You must stop creating excuses for why you can't or don't feel like it. And you must put your head down and look at the first step in front of you. And then you must take the action and start walking toward what you want. And it'll be a hell of a lot easier for you to do that if you have also been putting in the time every day consistently to not only see yourself walking up that trail step by step, but that you have felt yourself pushing through the resistance, the fear, the obstacles, the excuses that are stopping you now. And feel proud in every fiber of your being as you push through those obstacles and see yourself and feel yourself doing the work. That's how you manifest properly. And if you do that before you pull into the national park parking lot, if you look up at that mountain and you see clouds and it starts raining, it won't matter because you've already rehearsed this moment in your mind, body, and spirit. And you, my friend, will start walking up that trail. And you're going to be proud. That's how you use manifesting to get what you want. That's how you leverage all the science and research to train and prepare your mind, body, and spirit to help you get what you want. And that's how you hack the motivation and inspiration that you need to take the actions that get you everything that you want and deserve in life.
The Dallas Uber driver.
Oh.
So as somebody who has gotten into countless Ubers, and some small percentage of them know who I am, and then of course they start asking questions. Talk to me about chasing your dreams and this quote that you have that an aha moment does not necessarily lead to an aha life.
Yeah, the Uber driver in Dallas that's in this book. I get choked up when I think about him. An aha moment.
Why choked up?
I get choked up because what happens for me every single day is, and you hear from people every single day, you've got millions and millions of people that are inspired by, empowered by, impacted by your content. There are people out there that use your work as a lifeline, and it is humbling. And what I am really present to in the work that I'm putting out, in the stuff that I'm sharing, whether it's my failures or the things that I'm using that are helping me in my own struggles, is just how much people are holding themselves back and how much pain people feel. Because most folks know what they dream about and what they want. And yet they're spending all of their time and energy arguing against what they want. And so you can have all these epiphanies. I hope that when somebody listens to our conversation and watches this, that they have a massive aha moment. But it's not going to mean if you don't take action and do something about it. The aha moment is the door that opens, but your new life does not begin unless you step through the door. And most people, and that's what was so kind of, the simple idea of high-fiving yourself, of encouraging yourself, of supporting yourself. Most people, when you have an aha moment and the door to your new life opens up, instead of going, I got this, let's go, and high-fiving yourself to step forward, most of us go, I don't know if I'm worth it. I don't know if right now is the right time to do this. I don't think I'm good enough. I've failed so many times, I can't go through that door. And that's the problem I want to attack right now. That there is somewhere in your life that you know what you want. You can feel it pulling you. And you are actively arguing against it. You're bringing yourself down. You're beating yourself out. Like, people will cheer for you and me. They won't cheer for themselves. I'm the same way. And so this Uber driver, the story that you're talking about, I get into the car and we start driving, and I'm on the phone as we're driving, and I'm having a conversation with somebody about this daytime talk show that I launched, which was a dream with Sony Pictures Television, and then was promptly fired after season 1. It was a huge failure because we didn't make it to season 2. Huge failure in real world terms. Right. Massive success when it comes to the timeline of my life. And so I'm talking to this person about the talk show. I hang up the phone and this Uber driver comes alive. He's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're in my cab. And I'm like, why? And he says, because I want to talk to you about something. I think you can help me. And I'm like, great, how can I help you? And he says, I have a dream of being a Oscar-winning actor and creating opportunities for other Black and Latino men to do the same in acting. And I'm like, freaking fantastic. What the f*** are you doing in Dallas? Right? The guy's 25. And so I go, the game is in New York and LA. I mean, sure, you can act, you can write stuff, you can be here in Dallas, but why are you not in LA? Why are you not in New York? And he's like, you're right. I need to move to LA. I'm like, why not? And he says, I have $700 in my bank account. And I'm like, that's freaking fantastic. You have $700 in a car? Dude, drop me off and get driving. What are you waiting for? And so we have this whole conversation, and I write about it in this book, where I am actively arguing for his dream, and he is actively arguing against his dream. And what is so sad is throughout this conversation, Tom, he's like, you're right. $700 could get me there. You're right. I am only 25. You're right. If I keep thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking about what I want to be doing, I'm not only going to drive in circles, my whole life is going to spin in circles as I think about what I want and I don't do shit about it. And then you are going to find yourself not at 25, but at 45 or 65, and you're going to be so filled with regret that you never put a bet on yourself. And so this conversation ends with him declaring that he's going to go to California and me giving him a bunch of tools that I talk about in this book. And the point of the story is, does he move or not? I don't know. The point of the story is, it's so easy to see what somebody else should do. It's so easy to cheer for somebody else. We all do that, right? We cheer for our favorite sports teams. We follow our favorite influencers and authors. We plan birthday parties for our friends. We take on extra work from our colleagues. We support everyone around us. We do not know how to do it for ourselves. You must visualize the steps that lead you to the thing that you want, not the end goal. This is a major mistake that people make. They manifest improperly because all they do is focus on the end goal. If you've ever made a vision board, think about what you put on the vision board. You put up just the beach house or the $1 million in the bank, or you crossing the finish line, or you launching that business, or you having the body that you want, or you driving the Maserati, whatever it is. The end goal is what you put up on a vision board. That is not what you're going to do when you manifest. If you start focusing on crossing the finish line of the marathon, that is a one-way ticket to being unmotivated and completely discouraged. In fact, research shows that if all you do is focus on the thing that you want, and you just focus on that vision of you and your bikini body, or you with the love of your life on your arms, or you at the Oscars winning that award, or the Grammys, what happens is because you've only focused on the end goal, you start to feel really unmotivated and discouraged because you're nowhere near it. That's where manifesting comes in, because we're not going to focus on the end goal. You got to pick something that you want in order to get started. But manifesting isn't about the end, it's about the bridge. It's about going from where you are here to where you want to go. Imagine that there is a bridge that connects where you are right here with what you dream about doing. Now, that dream could be to be a Grammy Award winning singer-songwriter. That dream might be to have a family of your own. That dream might be to have a beach house or a ski house, or to take a trip to Fiji. That dream can be whatever the hell you want it to be. But when it comes to manifesting, once you've given yourself permission to dream with the lid off and really want what you want, to feel the pull of that thing, now we got to talk about the path that connects where you are with where you want to go. And this is all about visualizing the little steps. There's a lot of research that proves why visualizing the steps is the most important thing that you could do. There was a study done at UCLA, for example, where they were researching manifestation and the power of visualization, and they broke students into two groups. And they had Group A, we're going to call these the vision board group. They had Group A close their eyes, visualize in their mind, and feel in their body themselves taking the test, and then walking up to a board where the test's scores were posted, and finding their name and seeing an A+. That's what Group A, the vision board group, were told to do, to visualize themselves achieving what they wanted. Group B, we're going to call these the hard workers. These students were coached in this research project to close their eyes and to visualize going back to their dorm room, sitting down at the desk, and studying, and staying up late, and putting in the work, studying and preparing for the tests. Now let me ask you a question. Which group do you think did better on the actual test? Was it Group A, the vision board group, who were taught to visualize and picture themselves walking up to a board and seeing the A+? Or was it Group B, the hard work group, the group that was taught to close their eyes and visualize and seeing themselves doing the work to study for the test? Well, if you answered Group A, you're wrong. If you answered Group B, you got the correct answer. The reason why Group B, the students who visualized studying for the tests, got better test scores, is because when you visualize yourself doing the work, visualizing it leads you to doing the work. And it's only through actions that you will get the result that you want. Preparing your mind and visualizing yourself doing it lowers your resistance and leads to you taking the action. That's why manifesting works. You know, the same is true in sports. There's all kinds of research in sports psychology. In fact, our Olympic athletes for the US Olympic team, they hire sports psychologists to train our top Olympic athletes, particularly after they've been injured, in visualizing themselves competing. When you coach an athlete to mentally rehearse every single detail about going through the competition, you are training the mind, body, and spirit to show up and dominate. This is particularly true for athletes after they've been injured and they're stepping back into competition. If you've been injured in competition, you're naturally going to feel anxious. You're naturally going to be nervous. Your brain and nervous system circuitry is now programmed with the intensity from that injury, the memory from the injury. So of course it's natural to bring that into your pre-competition feelings about it, right? So manifestation properly, remember what it is? Manifesting is preparing your mind, body, and spirit to do the work. It's aligning your mind, body, and spirit with what you want. It removes the obstacles that would normally stop you, which then prepares and motivates you to take the actions to succeed. So in the case of athletes who visualize themselves and see themselves doing all the steps over and over, they're removing the nerves. They're removing all the programming related to the injury. They are preparing their mind, body, and spirit to go in and frickin' dominate. And so are you. You know when you're about to meet a friend, somebody you really like at a cafe, you're going to go have a cup of tea. What do you feel right before you walk in the door?
Excitement, enthusiasm, energy, joy, positive nervousness, like that kind of like butterflies, even in a positive sense.
Yeah. So at this moment, I was 51 years old. In 51 years of being alive, I don't ever remember feeling that feeling about seeing myself.
Wow.
For the first time in my life, I had this sensation that I was excited to see the human being, Mel Robbins.
Mm.
Now, I've been excited to see an outfit or excited to see a haircut. I have never been excited to see the person.
Mm.
And so I round the corner and this sense of how profound this is hitting me. And I'm standing there brushing my teeth and I realize something really wild. There are always two of you in the bathroom together. There's you and there is a human being in the mirror, a person who needs you, a person who has been waiting for you to wake up and realize they are there and they need you to see them and to hear them and to love them and to support them. And so what's interesting, because you brought up morning routines, right, is that we all talk about the importance of setting our day up because it's how it ends up. We talk about gratitude and meditation and we know the extraordinary benefits of it. But I don't think anybody has truly amplified the fact that there is this dirty habit that we all have every single morning that is a part of your morning routine, unless you have weeded this out. And it is a habit of either ignoring yourself or beating the heck out of yourself every single morning in the mirror. I mean, 91% of women don't like how they look. 50% of us can't even look at ourselves in the mirror. One of the things that I think you should always come back to first is take a look at how you set your day up, because how you set it up is how it ends up. How do I set my day up so that I'm practicing what I call simple discipline? Simple discipline is nothing more than making and keeping simple promises to yourself, repeating it every day. The way that you start to change the big things is you change the small things. Make tiny, teeny promises to yourself and then keep them. So how do you build simple discipline? Here are some core skills that I do every morning that have helped me. Number one, I do not sleep with the phone. Number two, when the alarm goes off on my phone, it's not near me, so I have to get my ass out of bed. I get up, I make my bed, I get moving, I get my exercise clothes on, I move my body, I then journal. I take 10 minutes to myself to plan my day. When I do that, my day is incredible. I believe that how you start your day dictates how the day goes. You should not just adopt somebody else's morning routine and expect it to work for you. You need to customize this. You are unique. I think about how do you come alive for yourself in the morning? What are the 5 senses? What's the first thing that you see when you wake up? For me, it's a painting that I manifested out of thin air. It reminds me that what you put your mind to and what you work toward, it will become a reality. I always light incense because it makes my senses and my nose come alive. I'm super mindful over what I taste first thing in the morning. My grandma always had vinegar in the morning with honey and hot water. I picked the one thing that matters to me today. You're a big proponent of the growth mindset. You guys talk about it all the time on this show, right? So researchers wanted to know, what is the most empowering way to motivate kids through a really big challenge, okay? They divide the kids into 3 groups. This takes the marshmallow test to a whole nother level. You got one group of kids that are doing a challenging task and they're getting the fixed mindset praise, which we all know does not work. Oh, Tom, you're so smart. Oh, Tom, I love your glasses. That's going to help you. Oh, Tom, you got a great smile. Oh, Tom, I just love so much about you. I know you can do this. So that's one group. The second group gets the growth mindset kind of praise. Tom, you are such a hard worker. Tom, your perseverance is unbelievable. Tom, you just keep going. That does better, obviously, than telling you that you're smart because it makes you motivated to work hard. The third group, they just got a simple high five. The researchers didn't even say anything to the kids. They just walked up, gave them a high five. The group of kids that got a simple high five outperformed, outworked through all of the challenges, all of the other forms of praise. Why? Because a high five is something deeper than praise. It fulfills your most fundamental needs as a human being. When somebody high fives you, you feel seen, you feel heard, and you feel like somebody has acknowledged you for the unique person that you are. And one of the things that will help you to do the work to create the things that you want in your life is it will help you if you train your mind to start spotting evidence as you're doing the work, as you're going through your day. It will help you if you train your mind to start scanning the world and spotting evidence that, yes, indeed, the world is sending you positive signals that things are going to work out. Now, why is it important to train your mind to help you get what you want? Well, the reason why is because if you get into a negative mindset, if you start thinking, this business is never going to work, why even bother? Or I'm never going to meet anybody. It's nothing but losers out there. Look at all these idiots on Hinge. Why the hell should I keep doing this? If you allow your mind to start to rest in a pessimistic, negative, protective, scared, and doubtful stance, your mind will continue to show you reasons why there's nobody on Hinge worth talking to. Your mind will continue to show you all the reasons why you will never make it in business. Your mind will continue to show you all the reasons why you're never going to lose that weight and be able to tuck in your shirt, as my friend Corinne Crabtree always talks about, that transformational moment. And when your mind goes negative, your mind starts to scan the world and will show you more reasons to stop. And the power of training your mind to spot positive signs is very simple. The power is that your mind will start to show you reasons to keep going. Your mind will help you take the step. Your mind will encourage you to feel optimistic, to feel empowered. Just like you woke up today on a Tuesday and it was February 22nd, 2022, and those numbers are lining up, and that makes you in your heart and soul go, whoa, something cool could happen today. Like that only happens like once in my lifetime, those numbers are going to line up like that. Today is a really cool day. Let's go do something with this. You could create that kind of attitude every single freaking day of your life. You could. If you train your mind and if you start taking action. And training your mind is the key piece that we're going to talk about. So for those of you that have read The High Five Habit, one of the things that I talk about a lot is every single day find a naturally occurring heart-shaped object in the world. It could be a stone, it could be a leaf, it could be a cloud, it could be a shape in your coffee. Hey, Chris, if we've got anything around here that looks like a heart, hand it to me. And the reason why I love telling you to start playing a game with yourself where you start your day going, mind, brain, show me some heart. Oh, what is this? Come here.
Dog treat.
Oh my God, it's a dog treat. Look at this, guys. What shape is that? That right there is a heart. There we go. Check that out. If you say, brain, mind, show me a heart today, guess what's going to happen? That damn dog biscuit, you're going to be like, there's a heart. You're going to look out at the sky and you're going to see a heart shape. Oh, right there in the mountains. There's a heart shape in the mountains in southern Vermont. You're going to see it in the clouds. What you're doing when you tell your mind what's important to you is you're telling your mind and the filter in your brain to change in real time and allow into your consciousness what's important to you. And if you want to see hearts, by God, those damn dog treats are going to start looking like hearts, everybody. That's how you train your mind. It's freaking incredible. And if you want to see evidence of this, follow me on social media. If you follow me, Mel Robbins, on social media, you will see every day I am reposting your stories of finding heart shapes around the world. Now, why is this important? Well, it's important because it's a simple way to prove to you that your mind changes in real time. That if you get serious about becoming more positive and optimistic and encouraging of yourself, if you get serious about saying, this, I don't want to see all the reasons why I'm unhappy. I don't want to see everybody else in the world that's launched a business or that's lost weight and is healthy or that has a really good marriage or relationship. And I don't want to see that and have my mind process it as evidence that it's never going to happen for me. I want my mind to reprogram itself and see other people's businesses and see other people getting healthy and see other people in relationships. And I want my mind to say, yeah, if they can do it, I can do it. That's evidence. If that person can get healthy, so can I. If that person can find somebody on Hinge, so can I. If that person can reconcile with their child, so can I. Other people can become evidence that you can have it too. Right now, your mind is so f***ed up from your past that when you see what other people have and you don't have it, you can't actually translate it through a negative mind and see that that's evidence that you're going to win. You see it like, oh, somebody already stole what I wanted. That sucks. And so what I want to start to open your mind to is that you have the power to train your mind to filter the world differently. Just like you woke up and you saw the date today, 2/22/22, and your brain saw that and was like, whoa, this is a once in a lifetime day, everybody. You are never going to have another day that lines up like this, ever. What are you going to do with this day? Your mind already interpreted this as, wow, something cool could happen. And if you tell yourself something amazing is going to happen today, something will, because you're going to be looking for it. I swear to God, something will. Something will. If you want to see the good all around you, you got to tell your mind you want to see the good. And this just isn't a bunch of horseshit, everybody. This isn't toxic positivity. There is a filter in your brain called the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system. I call it the RAS. I like to think about it like a giant hairnet on your head. And this RAS sits over your brain. I'm probably getting this wrong. I'm not a neuroscientist. I could give a shit about getting it right. I just need you to know the basics here so that you can apply it to your life, okay? You don't need a PhD to use the science that super smart people have been working really hard on in order to apply it to your life. That's what I'm here for in your life. I'm here to translate this stuff into simple, believable, and actionable things that you can do to take all this super cool stuff that people are researching and apply it to your normal person's everyday life to help you change from the inside out. And one of the coolest things that you have at your disposal is you have a whole system in your body that you can train and change. And one of those things that you can train and change that is impacted by that word you're hearing a lot of, neuroplasticity, that just means that things are able to twist and bend and change and you're able to learn new things for as long as you're alive. As long as you're breathing, everybody, you got a chance to change the way that you think. As long as you are breathing, you got a chance to change from the inside out how you experience your life. As long as you are still here watching me, people, you got a chance to create a new experience in your life. And one of the things that helps a lot is understanding that right now, all of the bullshit from your past has jammed the filter in your mind, body, and spirit, the reticular activating system. And it is clouding your ability to look at the world around you and see hearts. Remember this? Dog treat, hearts. Look at that. There's a heart right there. I had completely forgotten about the audiobook because I was so focused on this New York Times things. And by the way, here's another thing. You can't make the New York Times list if you're a self-published author. Something I didn't even know when I started. So here I thought I'd fail, didn't achieve my dream, the whole thing. I get this email. Your monthly report is ready. And I'm like, monthly report? What are they talking about? I click on that report. I open it up. I am literally like, oh my God, audiobooks. Audiobooks? Who knew audiobooks were a thing? Here's what happened. The entire time that I kept going, something amazing was happening, Lisa. They were going to the hardcover, but it wasn't available. They bought the only thing that was available, the audiobook. The 5-second rule became the #1 audiobook of the year, Lisa. It, to this day, is the most successful self-published audiobook in the history of Audible. And it created a brand new partnership that I have with Audible. Something, by the way, that I never would have had happen had my hardcover campaign be successful. And here's the other thing. I have never achieved my goal of being a New York Times bestselling author, and I might never achieve it. I've never made a traditional bestseller list. And it proves something that I believe very deeply. And that is that your dreams and the things that you put on your vision board have a very important purpose. They pull you through your fears. They inspire you to take action, but they are not necessarily meant to be achieved. I believe when you pursue your dreams and you keep going and you keep telling yourself that if I work hard, something amazing is going to happen, you'll achieve something better, something that you don't even know or can even think about right now because it's not even on your radar screen. Those dreams are dots on the map of your life that pull you in a direction you're meant to go. But you might never end up there because you're meant to end up somewhere else.
I actually have an incredible quote of yours about dreams. You say, when it comes to your dreams, you have 2 choices, pursue them or be haunted by them.
It's true. You can't forget a dream. You can't. Something that you want in your life, once you really want it. There are 4 techniques that I use whenever I'm going to have a difficult conversation that help me stay focused on what I need to talk about instead of getting hijacked by my emotions. Number 1, I always start the conversation by acknowledging my responsibility in the mess that we have to talk about. Whether it's the fact that I've avoided dealing with this sooner or whether there's something that I've done that's contributed to the situation, I acknowledge it right up front. And one of the reasons why that's so important is because by accepting some responsibility, you're diffusing the other person's emotion, you're also honoring them a little bit, and it sets a much more level playing field for when you get into the difficult things that you need to talk about. It's also going to put the person that you're speaking to a little at ease, so they're going to be able to listen. Number 2, you want to have a goal. Never go into a difficult conversation without an outcome defined before you go into it. The reason why the outcome is so important is because this conversation is going to be a roller coaster. The person that you're talking to might get upset. You yourself might feel emotional at some point, whether you're angry or you're triggered or you get sad. And so when you ride the roller coaster of emotion, the thing that is going to stabilize your thoughts is the outcome that you're causing. You're having this conversation because you're committed to making the relationship better. You're having this conversation because this isn't working, and so we need to end it powerfully. You're having this conversation because you want to give somebody some feedback that's not so fun to tell them, but you're giving it to them because you're committed to their success. Okay? So that goal, you feel yourself getting emotional, you come back to it, you come back to it, you come back to it. Third thing you're going to do a lot in this conversation, you're going to listen. and you're going to validate. So you're going to say what you need to say, and then the other person's going to react. And instead of arguing or debating, I want you to listen and I want you to validate what the person is saying. It may sound counterintuitive, but honestly, one of the most powerful things you can do in any conversation, whether you're fighting with your kids over curfew or you're arguing with somebody at work over workloads, whatever it may be, is hear where the person's at. The moment you say, wow, that must be really tough, what you're dealing with, or, oh, I totally get why you now were avoiding me. If I felt the way that you felt, I'd probably do the same thing. The second you validate somebody, they immediately stop defending themselves. It's unbelievable, actually. Unbelievable. You got to try it. Validate, validate, validate. It is the most powerful thing. And then once, of course, they feel validated that you've heard them, now they can listen. And that's when you come back to the final thing, which is you're going to restate always the outcome. Keep coming back to it. Keep coming back to it. And yeah, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have all kinds of emotions come up because you've been avoiding this conversation. But I'm telling you right now, if you find the confidence and the courage to go and to start this thing, acknowledge your responsibility, have an outcome in mind, validate the other person, validate, 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 and keep talking till you hit that outcome, you're going to be really, really amazed at how much easier these things become. And if you want to make it even easier on yourself, rehearse it with another friend first, somebody that's not involved in the situation. Because again, difficult conversations comes down to one important thing: the ability for you to separate your emotion about doing it from the things you actually need to talk about and the outcome that you want to cause. If you can't stand in front of the mirror and raise your hand and high-five yourself just because you got your ass out of bed and you're breathing, you will never get what you want in life, ever. There is something in the resistance to it. And if you unpack the resistance, you will find the reason why you don't have what you want. You either think you're not worthy of it, or you think that it's kind of stupid, or you have been brought up to believe that for women in particular, you're going to be bitchy or selfish or not likable if you're celebrating yourself. There is something in the resistance to you simply cheering for yourself. One of the biggest objections that people had to standing in front of the mirror, take a moment, look at yourself, and then raise your hand, is people said over and over and over again, I haven't done anything worthy of high-fiving. High-fiving feels like a celebration. I don't have the number on the scale that I want. I don't like my bank account. I don't enjoy what I do for a living. I've made a load of mistakes. I'm struggling with trauma. I don't have anything to celebrate. And what I realized is people are making a fundamental mistake. You are withholding the very support, empowerment, and celebration that you need to change and to do the hard work and to face the things that you're scared of. And that's why you're not changing. When I think back 3 years ago where I was saw one of your videos or Gary's videos or somebody, I'm like, oh, I just need to start filming the book lines at these and it was a moment. It was this little amount of wisdom inside of me that I listened to. And I am telling you, that is the power. You got to tune out the noise and you got to learn how to make what I call a quiet decision.
Yeah.
A quiet decision where you shh, and you hear what your heart is urging you to do. Let's start with a metaphor. I want you to think about your life like a book. A book is divided into chapters. Some chapters are boring and a grind to get through, and others are exciting and you hope they never end. And right now, you're in a chapter. Maybe this chapter of your life is a grind. It's overwhelming and unsatisfying, and you feel stuck reading it over and over again. Maybe you want to start a new chapter, but you don't know what the next chapter is about, and so you keep rereading the one you're currently in. Here's the greatest thing about life. You don't have to know where this next chapter is going. You just have to start writing it. I want you to envision a blank page. What do you want to write? What do you see for yourself? I don't want you to try to figure out what job or business you should write on that page. What belongs on that page are the dreams that you have for yourself and your life. And all that's required to start writing is to start saying yes instead of telling yourself no. Yes, you should start that podcast. Yes, you should go back to school. Yes, you should try to launch that business. Whatever it is that you've been doing, whether you're 3 years out of college and it's a job you can't stand from a major you hate, or it's a 20-year career that you're just burnt out on, or maybe you stepped away from the workforce to raise your kids, or perhaps like so many people right now, you've been laid off. This is the moment to write your next chapter. You're not too late. You're right on time. All you need is a blank page and a pen. Do tiny things every day that boost your mood, okay? So we're going to build your mood muscle. If you can, move your body, because negativity gets stored here. And moving your body, we know based on the research, simply moving your body for 10 or 20 minutes a day will release chemicals in your mind that help you boost your mood. The second thing that will boost your mood is I want you to make a tiny promise to yourself every day. Just one thing that makes you feel more positive. Is it getting up on time? Is it eating something healthy? Is it only having one glass of wine or reaching for a mocktail? I want you to put one tiny promise into place. Put it into the comments right now. What's one tiny promise that you can make to yourself that you're going to do every day? It might just be that you're going to wake up every day, take a deep breath, remind yourself that you're healthy, and that's going to be the tiny promise. I want you to do one tiny promise every day, because keeping a promise to yourself will boost your mood and make you feel more in control. Another way to build your mood muscle is have a zero tolerance policy for your own negative thoughts. Right now, as you edit social media and edit your news take and edit your negativity coming in from the outside world, do not tolerate negativity from the inside world. I woke up this morning, I looked in the mirror, I looked at the gray hairs that are coming in, particularly like right up here, and I started to go negative. I started to feel dreary, and I went, Mel, cut this out. You got to fight to stay positive, gal, because we are in this for another couple months. And do not succumb to despair. Do not start thinking negative stuff. When you have negativity internally, you got to have a zero tolerance policy for that. It's one thing to feel what you need to feel so that you can move through it. It's another thing to let negativity dwell up here and start ruminating. The 5-second rule is genius for this. Count backwards. The second that negative, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Not listening to it. No, I am redirecting my thoughts. That's right. I am looking for the things I can control. I am keeping a positive attitude by focusing on things that I can control right now today.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video, because you are awesome. To see my recent interview with Mel Robbins one-on-one, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I hope your business goes bankrupt, Evan. Evan, you're a terrible person. I spent the first 40 some years of my life trying to be somebody else. I'll give you guys a secret way